Hello and welcome to Penny for a Tale. Tonight we are playing episode 51 of our Pathfinder 2nd Edition Adventure Path. This is Age of Ashes, but we're really turning over a new sinking ship. Because this is the first volume of the Torn Seas module that we've devised here. I'll go into it a little bit more in a bit, but let's reintroduce our cast, starting with Daniel.
Hi guys, I'm Daniel. I'm playing Sailix Lavendale tonight. It's gonna be great. Lots of stress and things to work through, which I'm pretty sure it's gonna come roaring through.
James.
Howdy, folks. I am James Glass. I will be playing Waldorff Skysteel once again this evening, who has just lost his home and everything that he previously held dear. It'll be really entertaining to see where we've been for the last couple of days and where we go from here.
And truly, who would do such a thing? Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen. I play the Vespern, the immortal sea elf rogue. A lot of things have gone down, a lot of things are going down, and it'll be a good time tonight.
Sam.
Hello, I am Sam. I am playing Aghi tonight that has had a drastic makeover for somebody, so guess we'll find out.
Somebody. Mr. Smith.
Hello, I am Mr. Smith. I'll be playing Rune Ravenswood, as always, and I am eager to see this makeover bit. What is this? Is this? What's going on?
Nothing.
No, it's
And
not.
then between Sam and I, we like to have recurring characters. This will be one of, I can't count anymore by now, but our guest tonight, Staffan.
Hi there, I'm Staffan, and tonight I'll be reprising Pekka Kylemakki, the ambassador from the immortal throne of Shaoling to this location, currently stuck on an airship with an awful lot of other people. He's a hobgoblin cleric of Selkat, and more will no doubt be revealed as we go.
All right. And just real quick, this show is sponsored by Smiteworks. They are the creators of Fantasy Grounds Unity, which is the virtual tabletop we've been using throughout the campaign. So it has been over a year consecutive. If you're interested in using a virtual tabletop, Fantasy Grounds is among the absolute best. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Go to fantasygrounds.com if you want to check it out. We're also sponsored by The Only Sheet, which is an Excel-based character management and planning tool for Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition, as well as other editions like D&D. If you're looking to manage your character off a virtual tabletop or off a shared virtual tabletop space, you can go to theonlysheet.com and check them out. They're great. And then our music tonight is by Michael Gelfi and Rock Narden. You can find links to both their YouTube and Spotify's in the show notes. And then our maps are provided by Che and Piku on Patreon, as well as Seafoot Games on Patreon. You can find links to their stuff in the show notes as well. But let's get into tonight's game. So, we sort of left off in a weird spot. We beheaded a dragon, nobody died. A lot of people died, but nobody here died. And some people left. 3 days passed. And I think I have a rough idea of just about where everyone is. But more importantly, let's take it from the perspective of the crew aboard the airship that approaches this citadel in Isver. Flying about by the design of many engineers in a land far away, as well as the wizard in Ravenswood, is a ship, not unlike one you would use to sail moderate distances, except it's arcane, and it can fly, and it doesn't produce an engine hum. Right now, rather, it's gliding until it approaches this citadel. It's arrived before, some days ago. It's returning again for routine maintenance after picking up some additional supplies. Stocking up. Sailix, where have you been for the last 3 days?
Sailix has been repairing the citadel from the battle that happened, prepping for Will's funeral, just keeping himself pretty much so busy that he doesn't have time to, stop.
Right. Well, you might notice the shadow being cast on the ground, the courtyard of this citadel, as Rune's ship returns. Rune, what have you done for the last 3 days?
Oh, last 3 days. So, he spent a good portion. Sorry, just to reiterate, these are the last 3 days that have spanned since the fight.
It has been 3 days, correct?
All right. He, with a short stint over to the Citadel, to help with any recuperation after the attack on Will and Varys. He would have returned back to Kovlar to help with the repairs, because he is aware that with the King of Sagarak gone, Haral gone, there is no city protecting Kovlar from the deep dark.
Interesting. Right. Now, a lot of effort is being made on that front. I know Waldorff, Vesper, and Sailix, at the very least, are concerned about protecting the Citadel as well as Kovlar. Both of them are apparently under considerable amount of threat on a day-to-day basis. They've both been attacked within the last week. But Vesper, where have you been?
Mostly. Oh, I'm getting some echo. Mostly, she has been going back and forth, between Kovlar and the Citadel, and overseeing getting supplies to those who need them, and just kind of like negotiating contracts with the Unforgotten's other allies to again have healing supplies and food and whatever else the people will need to recover.
Right. Of course. And today, at least according to Morta, would be the day that the Unforgotten gather to pay respects. It was arbitrary. I mean, at least enough. You have to give it time for the triage to die down before you start the burial process, so as not to be disrespectful to the actual war effort. But Pekka, you've been staying in the Citadel for a couple of days, waiting the right time to talk and to negotiate. You have 200 of people with you. They traveled, crammed into this thing, flying in the air, and they're now resting. It had been many months, and they'll need just as many days to recover before they're ready to head out again. You've been informed by Sailix that a buffer is needed before you can start discussing politics and this mysterious talk of intercontinental portals. But that's not where we are yet. Vesper, are you currently at the Citadel itself?
I think so, yeah. you know, let's see, if today's the funeral day, she'd probably be hanging out with Morta and by the shrine to Pharasma.
Below in the basement, that is a swell idea. Now, everyone, I'll ask, what is your plan for defending Koflar?
Well, really, it's doing his best to help the Archmage to reinforce the walls, as they would be the initial line of defense should something come from the deep dark. Aside from that, it's doing his best to use his magic to help rebuild.
Overburger's dead.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Hromgar gave his life to destroy the wall. There are a number of masterful aberration mages, as well as builders throughout Koflar.
Well, that is unfortunate.
But you do know Waldorff is here, and he's been working tirelessly in Koflar and or Sagarak. Actually, Waldorff, what have you been doing for the last 3 days?
Well, I think that a little bit of what everyone else has been doing, trying to help everyone rebuild. I think that Waldorff and Vesprin would have run into each other several times, helping with the healing the wounded and maybe opening a soup kitchen together. Getting the food and
I was gonna say so Dorf would basically notice when she'd come by, like, she would have pallets of stuff with her that weigh like nothing. But like pallets of stuff.
Yeah, and when he realized that was all that she had a better handle on it than he could, because he's kind of stuck with what he's got here, he would start petitioning the other members or the other guild masters to start to rebuild the wall. I think in his kind of daily rounds of trying to see what could be done around the city, he always stops at the edge of the giant gaping hole in the ground that was once the wall between Koflar and Sagarak, and just kind of stares down into it. And so, yeah, he's been trying to get the other guild masters to start rebuilding the wall on the inside of the pit, as he calls it, and maybe use it as a bit of a moat between us and Sagarak, because you don't know what's still out there.
Yeah.
Rummaging through the rubble and seeing what he can find.
A moat of lava is standard for cunning dwarves. And on this day, ritualistically, you stand before this massive chasm, a small river of lava streaming across parts of it, sending that beam of warm light up. And across the chasm, you see a certain Sailix, Lavendale, watching from the other side. He's obviously arrived from Sagarak, from Jewelgate, the portal from the Citadel. But go ahead.
So,
holds up a hand in greeting.
Sailix is not wearing his armor. He's in a just ornate black and gold like funeral attire. He's just kind of, he still has his wings on so he can travel faster, but he's just kind of hovering over there. Dwarf, have you seen the wizard?
Nay, not since It's been at least a day or two since I've seen him.
Today is the day that Today is Will's funeral, so if you wouldn't mind joining me at the Citadel.
I would be honored. Just let me get cleaned up and I'll be right with you.
I'm gonna go try to find the wizard.
Waldorff would return to his rooms at the Ambulers Guild where he's been staying and put on his like full robes of state and his guildmaster's ring and everything and get cleaned up. He'd also grab a bottle of the finest whiskey that he could put his hands on and tuck it away in his belt pouch. I would know the way to the Citadel, would I?
Yeah, by heart,
No.
I know.
Yes.
No, you
Okay,
would.
cool.
It's a clear road. Sagarak is, I want to say a ghost town, but that's certainly what it used to be. It's nothing now. The only inhabitants left would be a few necromancers or aberrations hiding where they could. There isn't an army, there isn't a territory, there isn't a city of undead that there used to be in this dwarven land. It's now sort of just abandoned. So as you stride across Povlar and then make your way up a hill in this massive underground complex, you eventually reach Jewelgate. And
I would
Varys
wait
will let you
for
in.
Sailix.
Okay. And if you wait, Sailix, you arrive within the still currently inhabited portion of Kovlar. About 3,300 strong, nearly all dwarves, many now dead from the recent battle, but Rune's probably exactly where you would expect to find him. Sort of center of mass, all of the books in the city. The Mages Guild. Rune, what are you doing here?
We're going to be helping to coordinate the mages in terms of repairing, rebuilding, setting up what magical defenses he is aware of, trying to mend whatever broken sigils might be there to reconstitute the magic. But he is dressed, for the most part, for the funeral.
Excellent. Go ahead, Sailor.
Sailix would not, uncharacteristically, as he walks in.
Rune turns. Oh, my friends. Can I help you?
It's about time, Rune.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, well. We have a stop to make then.
All right. Dwarf's waiting for us at the gate, so quicker the better.
Having been at the Mages Guild for the last 3 days, he just goes to the nearest closet door and knocks on it a few times and gestures Sailix to come on over. As the door opens, it opens into Rune's little pocket dimension that he's been staying in while in Kovlar.
Sailix walks over.
He walks over up to a mantle with a little jar on it. It has ashes in it. And he hands the jar over to Sailix. It's the best I had at the moment. I haven't had a chance to put it in a proper place. For what it's worth, it is the
Thank you.
same jar that Rune had gathered Will's remains in. However, the contents of the jar are now ashes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, my friend.
Shall we?
Lead the way, please.
You head the Jewel Gate. Waldorff is there. Sailix, if Varys isn't here, you'd have no issue making your way across the clearing. And from Jewel Gate, you reach what's called a way station. A sort of hub, an interstitial clearinghouse between one destination and another. This way station is less than 100 feet in length. It's clean, marble floors, ornate bookshelves, all about. Varys has set up something of an office here. But across that maybe 70, 80 foot long hallway that is this way station, you've actually traveled a few hundred miles. From Koglar, below High Helm, under the Five Kings Mountain, to the neighboring nation of Isgard. The citadel is about 10 miles from a small city, too small to be marked on a regular map, known as Breachill. Our heroes know Breachill well. They've been there for over 8 years. Waldorff, Rune, Sailix. Normally this would be when you're greeted by Wilfred Lavendil as something of the essential for the unforgotten in the Citadel. Instead, you're greeted with the sound of many footsteps. People that aren't from here trying to make this place their home. Sailix, you've been putting it off. You know there are 8 elven mages from across the world, as well as 26 Phoenix Guard, about 5 hobgoblins, and who knows what else, taking shelter up here. But that's not really the time for any of that. So, what are you looking for now?
Rune's been to the Citadel since the Phoenix Guard showed up, right?
He has. I believe he has. He's met all of them.
Yeah, it would have been. He may not have met them, however. It would have been for a fairly short amount of time.
When they cross into the Elsetta's ring, Sailix will just kind of look over her shoulder at Rune. After this is over, we're gonna have to have a talk with our guests. Some of them are gonna stay, some of them are gonna go, some are gonna ask for favors. You know, the usual.
All right. Anything we should be concerned about?
The ones to make Elsetta's ring public.
Wait, repeat that?
They're gonna want to tell other people about Elsetta's ring.
Oh no. No. That cannot happen.
Right. I've been putting it off for the last 3 days, but after this, I'll have no more excuses.
Oh.
But
All right.
while
Good to
we're
know.
gone, I think it's important to put in charge somebody to guard the Citadel in case anything else happens. Because, well, you can't just be chained to it forever.
I've been considering something similar. I feel there are roles that should be fulfilled in order to ensure the Citadel's maintenance while we traipse about trying to save the world.
Right. Or, take unexpected expeditions into planar realms that haven't been charted before. But, we'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
We have to
yeah,
go to a
basically,
funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Sailix
Rin just
will,
puts a hand on Sailix's shoulder. Either way, my friend.
he'll deposit his wings. That way he looks as least flashy as possible. At the base, like in the ring where a ruined room used to be, before making his way upstairs.
I can make those so they disappear, right?
I just asked you for so much already, so.
Well, that glass pendant that I gave you. Did Sailix ever get that back?
He did not.
Oh, yes. Rin would have given that back.
Yeah.
Good reminder.
I was gonna say.
Yes.
I was gonna say too. Like at the very least in our CJ, like Vespa would have been like, Severn has your thing. Sorry.
Nope.
So
Rin
that
would have given that
pendant
back.
has
Sorry.
That pendant has a rune of glamour on it. So if you activate it, you can make whatever you're wearing look like just regular traveling clothes.
Oh, well. Oh, I guess it's important to change your clothes when you're, depressed about stuff.
So that might help.
But yeah, he would head upstairs.
Up the stairs. You're headed to the tower. Is that correct? Parapet balcony?
Mm.
If anybody does follow, the Citadel feels full in a way that maybe it should have for a long time, and it really hasn't since the goblins disappeared. Full with capable hands, mages, knights, crossbowmen, hobgoblin warriors, and war heroes. But today's about one particular war hero, and that's Wilfred Lavendale. Sailix, as you reach the top of this tower, you see behind the citadel, between the citadel and the rock wall, there's a secret entrance that leads to the basement. It's well guarded there. But nearby, there was a small clearing set aside to pay respects to the dead. Morta is there, local priest of Pharasma, as well as the Vesperan. That's probably where the ritual's to take place.
Sailix will kind of freeze up for a moment. Seeing it all.
Rin will once again put his hand on his shoulder.
Seeing it all makes it real, I guess, for him as he kind of just nods and continues walking forward like he's walking to the Axeman himself.
Waldorff is just bringing up the rear. He nods to Vesper and kind of raises a hand to everybody.
For her part, Vesperin is in a simple dress of black with red lining, and she has the spiral of Pharasma still on her chest. Did basically there is like similar to the Dorian funeral. There's like a little cairn of stone set up, and a small brazier. She has she also has a block of wood with red cord wrapped around it, some runic symbols that represent Will's name and bits about him. And also just if he had a favorite type of liquor, that it is also there. And she would sort of greet everyone, warmly, somberly, but just sort of trying to also give Sailix like that look of like reassurance and strength of like who is holding the remains?
Sailix is.
Okay.
For what it's worth, sorry. Yeah, for what it's worth, Rune is his typical wizard's cloak that he travels with are away. This is more of a formal pair, or a formal set of wizard's robes, all neat and flat with matte black. Rune's typical trace of red around the collar. Both Corvus and Mirakai are standing or resting nearby. Rune's staff is there, and a kaleidoscope of images that he remembered of Will in illusory form are just sort of flitting about, showing memories, fond memories that he had. No sound, just images.
So, yeah, since everybody's here, right? Like, we're not waiting on anyone else. I just want to make sure. Yeah, so with everybody here, again, Vesperin would nod to everybody present, and sort of like, before looking up and so once again, while we are here to mourn the death of our friend, more than anything we are here to celebrate his life. Will was he was a hero, but not in the traditional sense that his brother was. He was the one who was quiet, who supported us, who heard our fears and worries and handled them with compassion, who always advocated for the gentler path, who wished to grow, who bound us back together as we were drifting apart. And I've gotten to know better. But... And she would take the bottle and take a drink.
Okay. You will notice quietly arriving unceremoniously the sound of twigs breaking, Pekka marches up. He's holding something. A few of the Phoenix Guard are watching as well. Go ahead.
And you see... I seem to be echoing. 1 second.
He's holding what appears to be several dozen small metallic pins. You remember during the war in Kowling, it was important to remember the dead, not for the number of people they killed, but the number of thrones they toppled. The earlier you joined the war, it's likely the more thrones you dethroned. And Will was there from the start. He left a bit more than halfway through. Pekka appears to be holding enough pins to account for that. Somewhere in the dozens. Go ahead.
So you see Pekka wandering up. He's dressed in his usual leather long overcoat that's well worn, large brimmed hat, but in contrary to where you've seen it before, those items of clothing are now of very obviously the finest make and cut, yet somehow still worn down. And just behind him stand his guard of 4 hobgoblin knights of Shaolin, and he turns to one of them, and they're handing forwards the symbols, and he gathers them up and looks down at the site and looks over the companions, and in his quiet carrying bass, "We are here to honor and remember. Duty well performed is never a dishonor." This person served for an enormous price, but also to great effect, in witness of which Selkat bring to Pharasma these such that he may find a suitable reward on his next station. And he will reverently place them down on the ground
would
and
gesture
step back.
Vesperin would gesture to a spot like within the cairn for like and you would know basically just like if it's meant to be a send-off sort of thing, then it gets burned up with the remains.
Okay.
And
Yep.
she would pass him the bottle to that was very well said, but again, in the same way that we are remembering his life, we are being bound together in it as well. So pass the bottle as you continue.
And Pekka will take the bottle, study it for perhaps a second longer than a brief moment, and a smile will cross his face as his underfangs just show. It is entirely suitable that such a passing is marked with a top shelf beverage for a top shelf life. And he will pour out a little bit onto the can and pass the bottle on.
Vesperin winces and is like, okay.
That's what I love. I brought extra. I like flash the next bottle at her.
Well, she like gives the look of like, it's not that, it's a ritual.
Orda, Alaskan beside you, is not phased. In fact, she's just smiling. Sailix is quite quiet, but he and Rune both would remember Will as being pretty austere and agnostic in these practices. He didn't hold a lot of strong opinions. He carried a plaque on his desk that said brevity, followed by a comma. There was no clause. He liked to cut to the chase for most things. And in a way, it's embraced here. Or at least it is for Aghi. She's not attended this funeral. She's left some time ago. Hasn't been seen since, but it's quite clear she's more than likely safe. Allegedly headed in the same direction as Aldonis shortly after the battle underneath Sagarak. But whoever was to continue, go ahead.
Who does the bottle go to next?
Who has it?
Pekka had it.
And Pekka, well, noticing the Vesperins' wins, having marked having thus fed the grave and the spirit for its passage on the wheel, will pull out his ceremonial wooden goblet, exquisitely carved but very simple, and just pour a silent shot and drink it down and bow his head and hand the bottle back to the Vesperin with another bow. And that second bow is the Shaoling bow of honor granted.
She would return it, and pass it. Just sort of look expectantly at the party of like, who's next.
She would feel a sort of magical tug at the bottle, and Rune's hand holding out as the bottle floats over. Wilford Lavendale. It was 8 years ago that I came upon this place as a right and proper wizard, as some would say. I met his brother, Sailix, a rather boisterous, loud, and rather cantankerous guard of Breach Hill. Chickens, donkeys, and drinks later. Wilford, not so passively, became a member of the Unforgotten. I don't know if he wanted it. I don't know if he even liked it per se, but he was one of us. And as the years rolled on, and all of our adventures took us across the world, he was, without question, a staple, permanent fixture. I knew if I saw Will, I would be safe and I was at home. I suspect the young man had similar effects on the lot of you, or at least those that have known him for some time. Will made his mark on the unforgotten. He has left us with memories, fond memories. And it was without a doubt the Citadel shall remember him forever. Any path we take from here on out, any success we have, it will be because he took care of us this long. He allowed us to be friends. He gave us a safe space to come back to. Thank you, Will. I will miss you. And Rune will take a drink.
Who receives the bottle
Your story
then?
was a good one. He floats the bottle out to whoever wants to pick it up.
It'd be Waldorff.
As I think it's
Go ahead.
only suiting that Sailix go last. I will take the bottle next. Now, I won't say much because I didn't have the honor of meeting Will before his untimely end. But I will say this, that when we are gone, we are remembered, and we survive through the people that remember us and those that loved us. And I can only say that looking around at this lot, that anyone in the world would be fortunate to be remembered by those such as you. And I am honored to be here today to remember this young man. And I would be fortunate if had I not made it out from underneath that mountain 3 days hence, to be remembered by you as well. So here's to Will. I wish I'd had the chance to know him better, but I can see by those that are here today that he was a great man, and he is sorely missed. You take a drink and hold the bottle out to Sailix.
Sailix will tap the bottle. And he'll start by taking a drink. Okay. Right. You fucking lot. Woodford hated all of you in the beginning. He wanted me to throw you all out of the city because his nerves didn't trust you. And that's how I got forced on around. I watched that night the crazed gnome summoned black monstrosity in one of my streets. And then we kept moving on. Wilford, he wasn't one to stand on ceremony. He likes to get right to the point. He always told me and Kellen that half-elf lives aren't as long as elf lives. So he doesn't have to spend time giving long-winded speeches. Sailix will kneel down and in the dirt in front of where the rocks are, he'll kind of dig a hole and place something in it, cover it back up. He followed me everywhere. Stuck to me more than my shadow does. I had broken him in war, and still he took me back together. Here's the hoping that his next incarnation will see many more easy days, and Saturday will find it fit to hold him a little tighter. Felix will take another drink, and then over the disturbed dirt, he will pour one drop of the liquid onto what he had buried, and sprouting up would be a single crystalline black sapling with a leaf off of it. Thank you all for coming. Will would hate us for doing this. And then Felix will take another drink and look to the rock. And your dawn flower remembers you well.
Rune will approach the stone and just wave a hand over it. The symbol of the Unforgotten and the name of Will permanently etched as a sigil on the stone.
So
I think this would be an appropriate time for Waldorff to cast Summon Instrument and bust out his summoned bagpipes.
Hang on. Vesperin would catch Sailix's hand as he pulls away and just sort of give it that squeeze as she takes the bottle from him and then asks for the remains. I assuming he gives them to her.
Yeah, no, he would.
Okay. So she would hand the ashes to Morta as she to scatter within the cairn as she puts the wood piece inside on top of the bed of the artifacts that Pekka had already put there. And together, the two of them would begin chanting some prayers to Pharasma, as Vesperans basically says, to Our Lady of Graves, you were there at the beginning of this man's life, and now you will be here to guide him to its end. May you shelter and protect him as he continues to the next stage of the cycle. And with Gold Mantle, she would cut the cords, binding the wood, and take the remains of the bottle and pour it over everything else before lighting it all ablaze.
And that's when the bagpipes start to play.
Yes.
Excellent.
And making a counterpoint just in the rear is a lone angelic voice as the spiritual guardians that Pekka has been quietly summoning, sotto voce in the background, form up and fill out the music.
And the choir does sing. I think we can fade with that. A few hours to pass. You guys have a couple of things left to do to wrap up today. It's currently, strangely enough, it's midday in Koklar. The Forge Hour sets them off by a fraction of a day every single day. So you hardly pay any mind to the way dwarves manage things. But Waldorff, I don't know, do you return to Koklar or do you wait? Because it seems that a meeting is coming to a head here at the Citadel.
I would stay with the Unforgotten and mourn with them and drink with them and remember Will, and you know, it's when you're remembering someone who's passed, having someone who hasn't heard all of the stories and wasn't there for any of them can be a comfort, you know, and Waldorff would be encouraging them to share their finest memories of Will with him, to, you know, pass it on to someone who didn't know him.
Yeah. What about you, Rune?
I would spend the rest of the day with them for sure.
Rune is absolutely staying at the Citadel. Certainly, at least for today. Maybe longer if needs require.
Yeah, well, it's starting to feel a bit cramped. This castle. Morta's headed back to Breach Hill, but you're still confronted with the elephant in the room, and that's that there are nearly 4 dozen people here that you don't recognize, and they all have some claim to not anything you own, but places beyond the portals. Sailix, this is a difficult day, a very difficult week, but you called for the Phoenix Guard, and in the 3 months it took them to arrive via ship across the world, hell broke loose, all but literally. Do you want to speak with them now? Through Pekka? Or even your second in command?
Yes. Felix is half drunk. I know.
Oh, I busted that bottle of whiskey out early.
One is like
That's
on his
like I put
way
my hands
behind. On his way passing Wellspring, like Felix kind of like looks to her and is like, "Find me a chick."
Pekka, what have you done to pass the time?
So, Pekka will have just quietly left the group at the graveside and gotten back early, as it were, to the citadel, if only just to claim their own bed space in amongst the crowds that sort of occupying every nook and cranny of this building. But he will have gone back, cast a quick sending back to his lord and master, the immortal emperor, and just to say that it will be a slight delay before negotiations can be reported upon. Events on the ground will fill you in when I get back. And he will then have set out to wander around the citadel with the expectation that it's going to be his home for the next, in adventurer's mind, unforeseeable future. But particularly with an eye to making sure that he just makes a note of where the dining halls are, where the kitchen facilities are, particularly with an eye of somebody who knows how to introduce various poisons into ecosystems. Just sort of keep making sure that these erstwhile people have thought that far ahead when it comes to their defenses. Making sure there aren't too many bodies floating in the well, that kind of thing.
Right. Someone quite clever in the way of alchemy obviously has some control over the Citadel. Things are managed as good as you could imagine them to be. In fact, for the size of the Citadel, it's quite wealthy. It's very well maintained. You don't see any servants. However, there aren't servant quarters. You control the southern wing, or you have for the last few days. It has place to rest, at least for smaller creatures. It's been no problem bunking, having the Phoenix Guard there, the hobgoblins, and even some of the mages. There's also a dining hall and 2 training rooms, which have been converted as a place to rest for overflow. You haven't really needed to stray much away from there, but the center courtyard of the Citadel has a garden. Some wild animals are tamed here. They're relatively well behaved because they're well fed. There's a small golden plaque of brass that reads brevity on it, and then a few notes tucked away in the corner about taking care of the garden. It looks like it hasn't been tended to in a few days, but you notice a certain Sailix Lavendil, half-brother of Will, who you paid respects to. And the Angel of Death that you remember from Cowling only a few months ago. He's arrived. It appears he's just looking over this courtyard garden cultivated by his brother, but Sailix, go ahead.
Boratorthrun would be there as well.
Do you find your quarters to your liking?
They are certainly suitable. I have no complaints.
Good. Well, pushed you off for days. not clear what you need.
Well, as you know, my main purpose in making this journey was to ensure that the mages are able to create the communication device that will enable our mutual response when matters necessitate.
Now, I will
Are you
point
just
out
talking about
to Rune and Sailix and
Betty?
whoever else pick up on that. A communication device is a little bit different than what the mages were setting up a quarter of a year ago on the other side. It seems everyone has a different idea of what is and isn't being built that might be to the favor of the unforgotten,
Yeah.
but continue.
So you're looking to... Oh, my apologies. I'm Rune Ravenswood. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Right.
As I...
This is my wizard.
I'm not necessarily your wizard. I'm just a wizard.
With him taking a drink from another bottle that mysteriously appeared in his hand, he just kind of was like, my wizard.
At any rate, as I understand it, you wish to have long-range communications with the Citadel. Is that right?
Indeed, in perhaps a wider sense than commonly applied with that word. We are hoping that we would be able to respond both physically and mentally or verbally to any summons that you may feel the need to issue. And to some smaller extent, we of course appreciate but do not require the granting of such boons in the reciprocal direction.
I see. Well, there is a bit of a problem with that then. That sort of transportation would require a significant amount of funds to create and magic. But it is possible. A simple teleportation circle housed here and at your side of the world might be able to successfully achieve the goal.
I will admit that whilst I am the anointed representative on this task for now, I have little knowledge in the matters arcane. So I will rest upon your considered advice.
Then the official advice would be to create a teleportation circle on either side and with a conditional trigger of leveraging a sending stone. That way both sides would have to inform the other that there's passage coming through, and one could allow the other to then pass. That seems fair, although, as I said, it requires some funding to do.
It has been our experience that most things are generally made smoother with, and it takes that quiet breath, funding.
You can ask Pekka to like be the seneschal for Tianja, the Citadel. If you want, bring the guard in too.
Are we telepathically connected today?
Oh yeah, it's a daily thing.
Over the connection, Sailix will tell Rune it might be a good idea to start setting up seneschals for each gate on the other side. We can protect our gate on this side, but we should have certain people to watch them on the other side. Maybe we could tap Pekka and the others as some kind of resource to guard in there.
I mean, yes, that actually is a solid plan. The only rub we have, it would be Cyprus. We don't have good connections over there just yet. Well, Vespern might. But we'll have to find out.
Wait. Let's just.
You're too drunk. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
the bottle's empty. He'll throw it against the tree. Like over the thing, he'll just like, we'll just buy the town.
No.
Now,
No.
when he mentions that, Rune, you realize Cypress Point, was the victim of deadly calamity. It fell in. It's in ruin, right? Every single person in Cypress Point died in 1 day's time. A storm came through shortly after. If there were a time to buy Cypress Point, it would be now, lest anyone discover what's underneath it.
Sailix, flushed in the face, put his hand on Rune's back and kind of lead him away from Pekka and just kind of like hold him like 1 moment. Not speaking, but like his face will like gesture as he is like speaking words aloud, even though he's saying them over mental connection. So
Rune just looks at him very quizzically.
we buy the town, right? You can't go into the Maelstrom, just the two of us. We utilize the free real estate to incentivize some of the Phoenix Guard that, hey, we're going into this thing that we all might die from. If you come with us and survive, your gift is land in this town. I will, like, there's already pre-built houses. It's ready. It's the few days away from Chicago. There's plenty of trade going through it. It's set up. It's great. This is what we need to further our expedition. And like when he says expedition, he kind of like pokes him in the chest.
Yeah. I'm tracking your plan. I think I could be wrong, but I think Cypress Point falls under the realm of Kintargo, we might need to ask permission of the Lord Mayor to acquire the land.
Well, you see, we got a sea elf for that. She'll take care of the details. We just gotta give her some money. And it'll... Look, I've given her like 10 gold and she's come back with a whole house before. I mean, it might have been on fire, but it was a house. So, this is what I'm saying.
You know, I got you.
Good.
I do. I got you. All right. Well, tomorrow, when you haven't had a few bottles in you, we'll circle back around to this conversation and have it one more time to make sure you're saying the exact same thing.
Agreed. And
Right then.
you should fancy it up with your big words, because I'm pretty sure telling the guys, hey, if you survive, we'll give you a house, isn't the best way to breach into with me on this murderous expedition that you might not survive.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to circle back around to the conversation tomorrow. Because right now, alcohol is really messing up your charisma. And I'm pretty sure you couldn't sell shit to an ant.
Why, my dear wizard, I'm offended. He's saying this out loud. If I could pinpoint which one of you had just said that, I would be even angrier.
Just to clarify, are you saying after 8 years now you're offended by me? I just want to document this for posterity. That now was the time you're actually offended by me.
You know, it's like, why? See, now you know what? I have to go find another bottle, so I'll be back.
You do that. Yep. I can't wait for your retort. I'm sure it'll be the top-notch intelligent retort of the day.
Walks off mumbling.
Pure wit you are.
There's a bit of an audience forming. Several of the iconic Phoenix Guard, you recognize them immediately from the shaved heads. They adorn its sigil from the old Crimson Ravens, as well as 4 hobgoblins that follow Pekka. And then the mages you remember from months prior.
In their native language, Rune will bow appropriately, at any rate, to the group. I don't know if it has happened yet, but I'd like to welcome you all to Citadel. I hope you have found a place to stay while you're here. Is there anything you require?
The one hobgoblin who appears to be the front of the diamond formation that they're holding, just sort of 3 steps back from Pekka, where they've moved up. Oddly enough, the 2 midpoints in the diamond look absolutely identical. And then there's a longswordsman in the back. Bows briefly and says, you are most grateful. We are. We have been treated well under the circumstances. and your hospitality has been well noted. For myself and my troops, I thank you. Of course, I cannot speak on behalf of these other gentle beings, he says, and with a casual dismissive wave indicates the group of mages standing slightly off to the side as though they were just dust motes in the air.
Well, we're happy to have you here, without question. And thank you for returning my ship.
You know, the guards.
I believe that
They're often just
that is.
follow Sailix.
Mhm.
Continue.
I believe that is entirely due to the auspices of the Abel Ellen, the steersman captain you so admirably provided. I will not say that it was a quiet journey, but we at least avoided the worst of the, I think she called it choppy weather.
Ah, excellent. Rune will specifically turn to Pekka. And your role with the Phoenix Guard is, if any?
Other than a mere acquaintance, none, I believe, formally. My position is entirely in the court of the immortal Shaoling Emperor.
Ah, well. Fair enough then. And Rune will look at the group of mages and bow to them, offer that if you require any supplies while you lot are here, I'm sure I can arrange something. Books, papers, what have you. I'm sure we could trade stories. Well, Pekka, I'm sorry, do you have a title? Is there, how should I address you exactly?
I find that titles get laborious. Pekka will do admirably. Perhaps, yes, just Pekka.
Fair enough then. Pekka it is.
That, you do see a wince from one of the mages.
All right, good to know. Al, I certainly appreciate you coming to the services for our friend Wilford. As I'm sure you can imagine, today's a bit of a day of remembrance here at the Citadel. Please feel free to wander about as you see fit, as I'm sure you have been. As far as I know, there's nothing off limits in the Citadel in and of itself, save for the private rooms, of course. If you have any questions, simply and he'll gesture to Mirakai. Just ask Mirakai here. She'll make sure to get your question, or if you need to get my attention, she'll let me know. Mirakai is a small raven, a bit of a purplish hue, and the raven, as he gestures to her, the raven subsequently bows to Pekka.
Pekka has a sudden look of, oh no, not again, that just briefly flutters over his face. And then he bows deeply back at the bird and back at Rune with a final our combined thanks. He's going to just take a measured 3 steps backwards. The other 4 hobgoblins do in perfect unison.
Rune will similarly take some steps back, turn, and head back into the citadel proper.
Now, Sailix. Actually, first, Waldorff, what have you been doing?
Drinking mostly. When Sailix goes and finds that that other bottle, he finds Waldorff attached to the other end of it, and lots of he's shirtless again for no good reason, and probably chatting up one of the scullery maids or something like that. He's in the kitchens or in the wherever the finest of the drink would be found. He's deep in his cups at this point in time, and very, very glad to see Sailix, as a matter of fact, I would say.
Yeah.
So, the way I picture it is Sailix is kind of like one arm spins the door like too much strength. The door goes flying off the hinges. He's like, "Oi, dwarf,
Hey!"
bottle."
And when the door comes off the hinges, Waldorff falls backwards off of whatever table he happens to be sitting on at the time, with a bit of a yell, and he hops up, "I'm fine!" And he kind of thrusts the bottle into Sailix's hands. "I was looking for you. I mean, I was, but then I got distracted. Where are we?"
Did you take your shirt off for me too? As Sailix starts to take on his.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Taking a drink back?
Well,
I would not. Do you have something in your eye?
And he just winks a couple of times at him, pulls out another bottle from somewhere that not sure where he got it from. Then he gives him a big cheers and takes a big swig.
Sailix is gonna look down. All right, I have a plan. It's not a great plan.
All right, amen.
But it's a plan. All right. In the back of the cellar is a barrel of aged bourbon. Vespa put it there for a very, very important occasion. We're going to grab that barrel and we're going to get on the ship. We're going to grab a chicken.
A chicken.
And a bird.
Did I hear that part right?
Yes, a chicken.
A live chicken or a cooked chicken?
A live chicken. Why would I want to cook chicken?
I don't know. Maybe you're hungry.
Look, bring me my damn chicken.
All right. Do you want to get the chicken or should I get the chicken? Well, you know where the bourbon is. So you get the bourbon, I'll get the chicken, and I'll meet you at the ship.
Sailix takes a drink.
Should we go together and use the buddy system?
Even though the bottle's half full, he slams it against the wall. like walks into the back of the cellar, rooting around,
No, oh,
grabs the
why would you?
completely wrong barrel.
Why would you do that? What's wrong with
Walks
you?
around, he's
I
like-
understand you're grieving, but that's no reason to waste good whiskey.
As he's walking by, Gorf is like, "Wow, Ruin, you guys really short." Oh,
One of these days,
fuck.
I swear. All right, where do I get a chicken? You, lass,
I don't know.
find me a chicken.
Now,
I go off in search of a chicken.
Rune, it's quite easy to tell if you make your way down Talsetta's ring. The Vesprum has set off the green gate. It's quite easy to communicate into a way station. That's more or less what they're designed to do. If you wish to speak to Vesprum, it would be a minor intrusion on something akin to a dream. You can if you'd like. Perhaps to figure out what she might be up to. Kintargo is about 2 or more days on foot, and about the same to Swinton. But what do you do?
Well, if he can see the Vesprin, he will certainly attempt to get her attention. Does she respond, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, Vesprin, describe this environment within the Dream Gate that you're in.
So basically, she is currently floating on the surface of what looks to be a giant infinite ocean. And you know, through the gate, you can kind of smell that like salt air. And are you talking or are you using telepathy?
Telepathy, if it's possible, yeah.
Okay.
With the gate
assuming
open,
it's possible with, yeah, assuming it's possible. You know, she would respond. Her thoughts are very like, I don't know, like normally when you connect to her, she's very like just this force of chaos. Like there's lots of things moving in her head. She's constantly keeping track of like bits and pieces and putting them together and taking them apart, and like that's what it feels like. But right now it just feels calm. What is it, wizard?
Off to Kintargo.
That is correct.
I can get you there today, if you like.
But your way is not nearly as fun. And you would see beside her this shaped surface as there's a little spout of water being removed from like a blowhole as the whale surfaces slightly beside her. She gives Ruin a wink and takes it by the fin, and they dive down, and you get these images of just this colorful, beautiful, but like strangely alien landscape of coral and color and all sorts of creatures, you know, some that you recognize, some that you don't even have a name of, just like going with the flow and swimming around with her.
Well, the choice is yours. Wasn't sure how quickly you needed to get there and have more time to relax rather than attempting to get someplace.
This is relaxing for me, and I will not give it up.
But choice is yours. Enjoy your trip.
And yours
as well.
With that, he will look at Jewel Gate and start making his way back to Kovlar for at least another few days to help the dwarves there.
Yeah, you notice in Alcetta's reign, the mages have arrived to take a look at the broken gate of the Six.
Rune does
Alcetta's
not go
reign.
through Jewel Gate.
Yeah, imagine. They've made their way down. They've begun preparations. They're scanning. Looking, watching.
Hello.
Transferring runes to paper to analyze what they're calling Lotus Gate in Elven. They'll switch to Haldane immediately upon being addressed by a human. Pekka is down here. You can hear Sailix and Waldorff are drunk somewhere. And Bethrin is on her way out.
Rune has tongues on as one of his permanent spells every day, so he can understand everybody.
Perfect. My name is Arendruria. Would you find me, Pekka? A nervous elf with dark hair. He's scanning the broken archway in this underground, this basement shrine. For context, the Vetbrin have moved into what is called Green Gate. Its way station takes the form of a dream space. Whoever is operating the way station is then able to decide, has power over the form and function of this way station before ultimately traveling out the other side. They're not interested in Dream Gate. They're interested in what they're calling Lotus Gate, what they're trying to build, a link back to Cowling, the other side of the world. This one elf of 8 has asked for Pekka.
Ask me?
Pekka is just across the room. Yeah, he's asked you for realizing you're not who he thought you were. Apologies. Rilita, Pekka, please. And another elf hurries away to grab the hobgoblin from across this shrine.
What are you doing with the broken gate exactly?
Well, we were to ask Sailix how he felt. We believe we can change the key. Pillow is a terrible idea. Shameful. Embarrassing. We may be able to activate it sooner than we thought.
Well, the gate that we constructed over in Tianji, it was a one-time effect. The actual requirements for one of these is lost.
These two mages you're speaking to, they look over. The eldest of these mages, near your office, is leaning in the doorway. He looks furious. The first elf you spoke to, the nervous one, looks to him. Nertho, don't display spite. It's not worth it. The old lizard turns, and he's looking about. Where is Sailix Lavendel?
Oh, Sailix is having a bit of a moment right now. Can I help you?
Several moments.
Someone's granted us half-truths. Upon the request for the Phoenix God, we came, we were told, you have the means to open the gate with the help of an assistant. Overconfidence or a blatant lie? Elf turns to look you directly in the one eye.
So you were asked to come here, and you understood that you'd be able to go back with some reasonable ease. Is that right?
Eldest of these elf mages that you recognized from months ago, telling he looks at them. Was that not what we were told? A trip of one way, a gate, assistance, and a return home.
All right. Well, I mean, it is possible. Yeah, we can get you back home.
And he moves towards this gate.
It's just not going to be through that gate, as Rim points to the broken one.
Yeah, gliding a spidery hand along the stone arch. There has to be a way.
Oh, well, yeah, I would agree.
Pekka? Have we come this way all for naught? I'll say.
And on the second exclamation from the group, Pekka lifts his head up and looks over at the mages and says, nothing is ever for naught. However, I believe it is up to your domain to ensure our swift return, as opposed to scurrying back with the tails between our hind legs aboard, apologies, sir, that vessel.
No apologies necessary. Why would your tail be between your legs if you took the ship back, out of curiosity?
We were called forth on the promise of a great deed.
Oh.
This would be monumental to the Janine Elves. Our relationship with Avestan is fragmented. This would mend a rift. We've been lied to by your elf.
Oh, well, no, hold on just a moment. Before you start throwing out lies, the word lie, we can get you back. That's something that can be done. However, if you're looking for a great story or a great deed, I have a much better idea. If you're up for it. I'll take silence as you're willing to listen. Fair enough then. So, what do you think? Actually, let me ask you this. Have you heard of the Maelstrom?
He rolls his eyes.
Oh, so you have. Fair enough then. I never want to assume what someone knows and doesn't know. This just makes it easy. So, good, you know it. What would you think about actually going there? And potentially the secrets to the gates might roll around in the chaos of the Maelstrom.
The Maelstrom.
A visit to the magic storms themselves. The place where our profession stems.
Everything and more. Too much more. This is to be considered. Over 100 days of travel could be for naught. Return empty-handed. First, I must speak to Lavender.
Be more than happy to speak with you come the morrow. Today is a day we mourn a loss of one of our family. So, it will have to wait.
Well, it's the least we could do to feed on your rations and warm these empty
Are you
beds.
hungry? Do you need some better food?
So, you're questioning my own. He looks at the mage.
No. Are you angry at something?
You get to be an age. Mind it not. The letter will it our Neretho seem come. He looks around again, and you can see sort of leaking through here. He, among other things, is just immensely impressed at Alcetta's ring. The Citadel seems quiet for a moment. Was that I think will fade for a few days to pass. Nothing eventful to be made on the Citadel.
For note, Rune will fairly consistently interrupt any kind of research the elves attempt to do on the gates. He will be nice about it, but he will pester them until they can't do it.
Excellent.
I just imagine Rune like the nosy neighbor from Wisconsin, just like, oh yeah, hey there, how you doing, guys?
How
Can
you
I
doing
get you
there?
some hot
Yeah.
chocolate?
What you
Just
doing
move
there,
a
eh?
scooch,
What you
okay?
doing?
Absolutely.
That's a snazzy little room you got there, yeah?
Waldorff. Let's say with 4 days. What do? You spend time in Koblar? Overseeing the
I'm
rebuilding
still trying to
effort?
figure out what Sailix wanted with the chicken.
Yeah, so
Trust me,
you
we
haven't
all
met
wonder
Rex.
what Sailix wanted with the chicken.
Every
and
time.
I'll say
Waldo would have
you-
shown up with a live chicken and a cooked chicken because he couldn't remember which one Sailix wanted.
Well, yeah, if you knew the director, you would know this phenomenon well. It appears you've woken up unaware of the outcome of your quest. You have
Okay.
in hand one live chicken, and in another, a single raw egg. As you wake up atop a water tower in the city of Breach Hill, 10 miles away from Citadel.
Well, I wish I could say that
It's
this is the first time this has happened to me, but
with the remaining 3.5 days.
I was going to say, I expect at least a full day would have been spent getting down from the water tower back to the Citadel and then back to Kovlar to get back to my rooms at the Anvilers Guild and try to just kind of get myself together. But I think that with everything that had been done before the service for Will, Waldorff isn't feeling particularly attached to Kovlar at the moment. He feels like he's kind of done everything that he can, and he's just kind of, he would find his way back to the Citadel. He would, he'd be tagging along kind of like the little brother behind Sailix and Rune, and I think maybe making a nice bench for the garden, something along those lines, trying to help out around the Citadel to put things back to rights and just help out wherever he can with the group.
Yeah. As you arrive, the place is bustling. It appears they're preparing for a voyage of some sort, likely to have something to do with the massive shadow cast over the Citadel. Some days later, you've wrapped things up in Kovlar. They're in the rebuilding process. They've gotten supplies from Jewel Gate under the condition that they don't snoop about too hard on where they came from. It's used to help the wounded and to repair and rebuild, and that's enough for them for now. Return to the Citadel, and immediately you're met with a few dozen of the Phoenix Guard working to prepare a ship that casts a shadow over the Citadel, floating just above Rune's airship. We will return to that, though, with Sailix, Pekka, Rune, and Waldorff at the Citadel near Breach Hill. Vespera. And this time you'd have no issue swimming, walking, or finding a combination of the two to make your way from Cypress Point south towards the city of Puntargo, beyond Dreamgate, one of the many cities connected in this network of portals to your beloved Citadel. As you arrive, you have some time ahead of a high-stakes betting game. What do you do?
So I feel like, first of all, she would look in on the River Talons to see how they're doing.
The River Talons found their ceiling. They can't grow much as they refuse to resort to a life of petty crime. Stealing from the rich is one thing. Eventually, the rich get clever, or they're no longer rich. They've sort of found the limit. They're a fraction of the size they used to be. And sort of idly awaiting the next big thing, the next change, the next piece of territory, if you will. But Theobald's office is still there, waiting for your use. Nobody's taken it up.
Yeah, so I feel like she would go into sort of like pay respects to, you know, Theobald's space and, you know, in particular, knock back one of the hidden drawers to grab something from his own personal stash as just that sort of like fond memory thing of, you know, the game of can I do this without getting caught? And you know, it's one of those things where before it really, like, there was, when the campaign started, the office just felt too big, and you know, like these were shoes that she could never ever fill. And now she's kind of just made her peace, and instead of just it being that sort of pain of like, you know, this is failure, this is what you aren't, you know, she feels at home and celebrates what is.
Yeah. Now you've been eyeing a special game, a gamble, interesting clientele. The stars have aligned, as it were. You have an opportunity to maybe seize the settlement of Cypress Point for a bargain.
Yes.
Not to buy it, but to win it.
Mhm.
Only a few hours later, into the early evening in the city of Kintargo, you find yourself at a table in the old counting house of the noble district. Everything is going exactly as you planned. You're instructed through your network to come into disguise at a certain time, to be seated at a certain table, to meet a certain person. Now, is Mialari expecting your presence, or would this be...
I mean, does she know that she is running the game?
She is...
Because
She's caught up in layers of intrigue here that are
Okay.
hard to follow. What she
Then
knows is
I
often what
feel-
she's allowed people to think she knows.
Okay, so then I feel like since Vesperin wouldn't know she's there, that by the same token, like, you know, she would be using some sort of alias.
Right. And I think you expected, knowing she was alive, and figured you'd run into her eventually. It's not much of a surprise. What is a surprise is sitting right beside Mialari is an old friend, one you've known longer than Mialari. Longer than Theobald. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, so sitting in a chair next to you, probably more familiar to you than she seems, is a sea elf. One that you recognize from your youth that has just sort of been resting her hand on her chin, just smiling at you every so often, waiting for you to recognize her. But it's definitely someone you have not seen for a very long time.
So I guess my question is, so firstly, does Mia recognize me through the disguise?
It doesn't appear she does. No.
Okay. So I feel like seeing so like when she sees Mia, like there's that moment of like the smile is like frozen on her face for that second of like there are many emotions that I am feeling right now. And then but seeing the sea elf, there's like that moment of like, you know, like confusion and then recognition and then like, you know, but like she doesn't say anything, and sort of gets herself settled into the game, looking over who else is going to be playing.
Yeah, a couple of high-profile targets move in, some halteros, and then, well, the target. Nazarin's cousin owns Cypress Point. He purchased it when it was booming at an unfortunate time. He's been quite tight-lipped about his recent misfortunes, and you imagine he doesn't have a lot of money to gamble with, but he has the passion. It's likely he will be gambling throughout the night. But there's sort of a wrench in the plane. There's no way Kai, who has known you all of your life, is here by coincidence. She's a Naker Warden. She's worked with Diedrich, who founded the Naker Warden Order within the Order of the Albatross. Maybe they were looking for you. Maybe it's just weird timing, but nevertheless, you can gamble. What are you doing?
Well. So, she would give a brief glance at her opening hand and, toss a bet into the middle and just kind of be like, you sure do look familiar, love. Have I seen you around?
You probably haven't seen me around that recently, but maybe we could talk over drinks.
Drinks with a beautiful woman. Never turn that down.
You never were the type to turn anything down.
Says the woman who just folded her cards.
Now, we can make opposing skill checks if you would like to see ultimately who would be the most apt to try to win this thing. It's an inevitability that this cousin of Nazarin, the owner of Cypress Point, is methodically bad at gambling. It's a matter of time before he loses this deed, or is talking to betting on it and then losing it. The question is, who of the three of you managed to win it? What skills would you like to make in order to attempt this?
I want to roll deception.
So I feel like Kai actually has no idea what she is doing. Somehow she's gotten lucky to this point of just, I'm going to throw these cards down, and somehow has won a couple hands. And then, yeah, she absolutely is not good at gambling or has any idea what is happening. She's just at the table.
I kind of want to re-roll that.
You may.
Okay. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Better.
So then for Kai, deception might not be it, huh? We can use perception, if you would like.
Yes.
To attempt to seek this out.
I do have legendary deception now. So I think that makes my lying really good.
Oh. Now, here's the thing. Kai, you barely lose here, but you realize you have a way to prove that the means to acquiring this deed were less than honest.
I
You've tried
want to
about
say
it.
she's not cheating. She is bluffing.
Now, the issue is that this Almaxa isn't clever enough to really know the difference when he feels like he's lost everything. Kai, you can be silent. Let Vesperin have this. But what do you do?
Kai will just sort of lean back, and she just gives a small wink to the Vesperin, and just fold her cards onto the table. Well, I do believe I know, and I have been bested. She'll look towards the other gentlemen at the table. This just doesn't seem to be our night, boys. But she will just sort of stand from the table and move to not go directly behind Vesperin, but just sort of symbolizing that she is done here. She has no hope of winning. To try and see if that persuades any of the other ones that they also are not going to win.
Right. And this Lady Dokur stands as well. The night is all but lost for everyone, except for the Vesperin here. Vespa, where are you headed after this?
So I want to say, as Kai stands behind her, and the others are folding, she would flip the cards up so only she could see, and it's like 7 deuce offsuit or some garbage. And she'd just collect the winnings or whatever. I feel like she would be a little torn from wanting to follow Mialari, but ultimately, she obviously owes Kai. So definitely taking her up on some drinks.
Yeah. Now, we'll get back to that. Waldorff, Skysteel. You realize you've done everything you can for this city as the Forge Master. They don't really have anyone else in line to do it, so you decide this morning to head back to the Citadel. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, unbeknownst to you, as you arrive at the Citadel, your forge hours are quite different from the clock of the Citadel. Above ground, it's nighttime. They're finalizing one of the last days of their journey. A chain falls from the airship hanging above the Citadel. All the way down to the floor, Sailix is standing, trying to untangle this massive chain, likely barking commands at nearby guards as they load the ship up with equipment. But go ahead.
Step aside, lad. Step aside. You lot don't know how to handle metal. It takes a specific touch, and then just a couple of flicks of the wrist, the chain is untangled. Waldorff just stands there looking smug.
Sailix is just something like, why is that so hard? Oh.
You just don't know how to talk to it.
Never seen a chain before.
Now, Rune, You're nearing the end of this preparation. What are you doing right now, Wizard?
How have the elves been doing with the Alcetta's ring?
They
with his constant pestering.
Yeah, they've realized you're trying to keep something sacred about your monopolizing of Alcetta's ring. They're quite offended, given they're elves, and they are elf gates. But they also don't know the extent of your power. They've heard rumors, and they don't wish to find out what happens if they cross you. They trust your judgment. They lead you to the gates, instead focusing on the magic of the airship. Much less your handiwork, and more the work of the engineers of Alkenstar. They're above on the ship.
Which Rune will happily direct them to. If they'll happily let them know where they can learn of how the airship works, if that's what they want.
Yes, and it appears Sailix is attempting something a little unconventional on the final hours of preparation. Something I'm not certain he brought up with you. But he said he had run an errand, and now he's throwing a chain off of the ship with Waldorff. Sailix, describe what you're fetching.
As he's at the bottom of the ground level, he's wrapping a chain around the severed head of the Shumerix. Quite violently and with an abundance of strength. Well, pretty sure this should get us going and keep us going.
Sailix?
Yes, sir?
What are you doing to my ship?
Oh, our ship.
Oh no, I bought this one.
Oh yeah, I'm aware, but I'm commandeering it.
No.
Yes. And he's gonna make a loop with his hands, and the head starts being hoisted off the ground. Like, you're doing great, guys.
Is that the new masthead?
I really can make sure you never fly again. You know that, right?
Oh, I'm well aware. But you see, the few of the engineers said that the engines might not be able to, what's the word? Burn hot enough going into the maelstrom. So, what better than a magma dragon?
You mean the dead dragon head?
Oh, I mean, dead's a matter of,
Did you really just want to mount a dragon head to the front of the boat?
You know he did.
Who really doesn't need a dragon head on the front of a boat?
You know that's exactly what he's planning, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm just waiting for him to actually tell me that.
Rune and Waldorff are standing on one side, both facing Sailix. Can you believe it?
Sailix wraps his foot in the little bit of a chain hanging off of the rest of the head and starts being pulled up with the dragon head. He's like, and I was gonna invite you guys up for the ceremony.
Rune just levitates with him.
Everything.
Hey, you're not leaving me behind. I grab a hold of either one of their feet. I'm being hauled up with.
The disrespect. It's just It's astounding, really.
You left me on top of a water tower with a half-eaten chicken and an egg. I don't want to hear about disrespect, young man.
This makes way more sense now.
But still.
The chicken was whole when I left it.
Yes,
You know, I'm really
hungry.
going to be concerned because I'm fairly certain there are no chickens or water towers in the Maelstrom. I'm not really sure what you're going to do with yourself.
It's all business when we get in the mail.
Somebody's got to get between the two of you and you get into another row.
It's a fair point. So, I have concerns about these elven wizards that you invited to our home.
Oh, what about them?
They're really interested in Alcetta's ring. You know, because they're elves.
Okay. Do you want me to kill it?
That went dark really fast.
That escalated very quickly.
Well, I mean, usually you come to
Do
me
you
with
ever
something
not
that's
jump to
right.
death? Right, got it. So, no, they don't need to die.
All right.
But
Well,
we do need to figure out a
plan
way to
that.
protect the ring from people who are interested.
Right. So, about that, some of the guards here aren't too keen on going into the map. So, I figured we give them the chance to stay and guard the citadel while we go with, you know, the more fervent guards. And that way we have somebody here to protect home while we go off and do our thing. They get a place
Are they
to
going
stay.
to keep... I got you. It sounds very familiar. We were talking about this yesterday. So, are these guards of yours going to keep the elves out of the ring?
As you reach the top of the boat, Gilroy, Sailix's second in command, chimes in. Absolutely not. Sailix, have you lost your damn mind? Don't answer that question. The loyalists would have to stay. The rest can be trusted to an extent. I don't see it as a good idea.
I'm sorry, what is he not supposed to answer right away? What? Who are you?
Oh, this is Gil. Gil, this is my this is room.
You're a wizard.
Is my wizard.
I'm not his wizard. I'm a wizard.
Off the boat. Yeah. Hoisting the dragon head over the railing. Right.
Hey, I could use a hand up here. Waldorff is like hanging off the gunwale. Like, you're not forgetting about me again, are you?
Sailix reaches over and grabs Dwarf by the back of his armor and just lifts him back on the boat. And this is Dwarf.
Tumbles into like a pile on the deck.
This is my boat. You know that, right?
And it's a lovely boat.
I'd like to think of it more of as just. So he's dragging the dragon.
There, this
head
is my
to the front
ship.
of the ship. It is my
For
ship.
fuck's sake.
So therefore, by proxy, shit.
Wait, no. No. There's no by proxy here. I'm not even your wizard.
I mean, aren't you though?
No.
No, Dorf, I'm not. I'm a wizard. We're not owed by anybody.
You're the wizard, as far as I'm concerned.
That's fair. I am the wizard.
Oh, God, stroke his ego a little more. Sailix like lifts the head up.
You
and
want to
slams
talk
on
about
the turn of
ego?
the boat. Like, anyway.
Permission to climb aboard.
It's just who I was referring to.
It's that Pekka blue.
On up, Pekka. And he drops the chain. Falls until it's taut against it, falling to the
So a few
courtyard.
other things while Pekka's on his way up. The elves called you a liar, Sailix, for promising that they'd be able to go back through a gate. So they're a bit unhappy about that. They do seem moderately interested in going to the Maelstrom, though.
Oh, come on. Look, one wizard enough. I'll take permission for one, but 9? The ship can only hold so many books.
I'm not sure where there's a problem here.
Where there are mages, there are extra dimensional spaces. Make do with what we have. Besides, are we all going to survive? Gilroy makes a head count
I mean,
of the people aboard the ship.
I can turn that door into an entire castle.
I've seen him do it.
Look, and I'd rather not having a pissing contest with 9 mages about whose castle's bigger underneath their closet door. It's just...
Well, that's very clear. Mine is always bigger, but that's beside the point.
You know?
The point is,
You know what?
they're
Let's
going to be in the
bring the
Maelstrom
mages.
and not around Alcetta's ring.
You know what, Gil? Gil, tell the wizards they're all coming to the Maelstrom. I want to see everyone's castle.
I bet you.
Do you, though?
Pekka, you've arrived
Yeah, Jose.
on the deck. To the sound of Sailix requesting seeing everyone's castle. What do you do?
Pekka more or less slumps over the railing with a... That climb gets tougher every time. Good. Sailix. I was wondering if I might perhaps ask a small boon. Since I understand you are about to undertake a valuable mission for the continued existence of existence. However, in order for you to achieve top shelf results, it seems to me that you would have to depopulate the citadel somewhat drastically. Now, it so happens that my duties in his revered emperor's service leave me with some time on my hands. So as a measure of friendship and in support of the liberation movement, I would offer to, as it were, lend a hand in the guarding of the citadel whilst you are gone.
Sailix reaches across and just kind of like smacks her in the chest. It's like, see, people are lining up to protect the citadel while we're gone. Everything's gonna be fine. Fine.
Oh, shit.
Famous last words.
Well, Sailix, I presume you trust Pekka and his mates, is that right?
Oh, I have no idea who the fuck he is.
I trust him.
Gilroy trusts him, though.
Do you, Gilroy?
I have my
That's fair.
reason.
Do you...
Trust any guest
Oh,
here.
that's fine. Sailix, do you trust Gil?
He just looks over at Gil and just looks over me. I mean, he has his moments.
How long have you known Gil?
We've got 81 pins. If that helps. 81 pins.
He was one of the.
I have no idea what that means.
So it's the thrones. When we burned the thrones, we burned Howling. We gave the people who helped a pin.
You gamified burning thrones?
Where I come from, it's coin for lives. A fair alternative. On a war we won. A war we won with Pekka.
All right, then. So, Pekka, if you'll be watching over or helping to watch over the Citadel for us, there's one very large rule that must be followed. No one but the Unforgotten and those they escort may enter Alcetta's ring.
That seems a simple enough requirement.
Fair enough. Aside from that one big rule, make sure the Citadel doesn't fall into terrible hands. And I'm assuming your hands are not terrible, so we're off to a good start.
The Emperor is widely known for his lack of terribleness.
That's good. Yeah. Fair.
Right. Root is widely known for his excessive terribleness.
Am I really? I mean, if you're going to have a reputation, it may as well be that one.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay,
yeah,
so how many people are in your guard there, Pekka? How many do you have?
Currently, my entourage is the 4 able ceremonial knights. That should suffice as a command group for whatever homemen are left over.
all right. Look, we can work with this. 4. So we leave the 4. We take the wizards with us into position. We leave some of the Phoenix Guard behind, to really flush it out. I can make sure Alcetta's ring, above all, is untouched. The Phoenix Guard pretty much run the day-to-day while we're growing. And we, with V and Varys's help, will apply a tax certain things that we help procure. It should help us really renovate the place when we get back.
So, there's a plan to secure the Citadel then.
Wait, where's the dwarf?
Waldorff is kind of inspecting everything. He's looking at the woodworking and kind of scoffing here and there, going, "Oh, this could use a little work, I believe. You know, like you call this a boat?" Then, Sailix, come along, lad. We've got work to do.
Like, he's like walking towards him. Like,
he's kind of walking away. He's heading for the engine room, and he's like, "This is we've got some work to do for sure."
and he's like turns around, looks at the room, and he's like, "This, you come with. Like, you could not be big. This is your boat."
Like,
Apparently not. It's your boat.
Waldorff, like, undoes some rigging and then wraps it back up properly. You know,
I am a wizard. I am not your wizard. Go help Dorf. He needs you. He loves you.
What's taking you
Go,
so
take care.
long? Come along.
See? He misses you already.
If it's your boat, then it's your responsibility.
He's
One
like
night with a
looking at
chicken.
her
That's
and
all it
walking
takes,
backwards.
Sailix.
Following the sound.
You know, if we were gonna improve the firepower, we should have taken the dragon's belly and not his head. You know, that's where the fire actually comes from. Is its gut. The head is just the spout.
So,
Stomach
Sailix
is
will
where
turn
the
around and say,
firepower.
you know, the firepower comes from a buildup of hydrogen in the back of its throat, and it's just the ignition from its mouth as he spits it
The
out.
spark
Right?
comes from the throat. The hydrogen comes from the belly.
We'll
You two
fade
are joking,
out
right?
on
You know,
the internal
We've
argument.
got no shortage of magma around if you need some real fire. Which one of us has spent the last 30 years of his life in a forge? You? No, I don't think so. Come along now.
And we pan to a ship struggling under the weight of far too many egos. To Cantargo. Strolling along towards the old harbor. Not one sea elf, but two. Headed towards the ship, just beyond the gates. Go ahead.
So I want to say also, so Vespa's disguise for this poker game was basically she usually keeps her hair very, like held back, either in a braid or a ponytail or something of that fact. But like for this night, it's like pinned back slightly out of her face with these really elaborate looking combs. And just cascading down her back. She's wearing a white evening gown that has a neckline going down almost to her navel. And it is very much the fabric that is there does not leave a lot to the imagination. And the Marca Pharasma, though, she has covered up with like some makeup or whatever. So yeah, that's Kai would not be familiar with this side.
Yeah.
No. Kai will take the cloak and just sort of drape it over Vesperan's shoulders. A bit chilly there.
Like, she would laugh lightly. It has been a long time since I've seen you. A lot has changed. But in games like these, if you can keep the men from looking at their cards, it tends to be to your advantage.
Right, but I'm pretty sure that you knew none of them were going to beat you anyways. You didn't need to distract them. Kai will sort of swing around and like pull the cloak tighter around you. Just cover all that.
Seems I'm doing Good job of distracting you.
Now, Talia, come now. You should know me better than that. She'll just sort of wink. She's like, you've always had my eye.
Have I, though? It seems like, there was so much competition. How could you remember, this shy, skinny one?
I always were a little bit feisty, but that is neither here nor there. It seems there's much we need to catch up on. Come to the sea with me. Why are you here in Cantargo?
There are a few things that, I need to take care of. Promises that I made. Loose ends to wrap up. You know how it is, yeah?
Care for a companion?
It feels like it's been a lifetime. But I suppose that is the answer I was looking for all those years.
I've heard tell of some of your exploits. Far from home.
Good things, I hope, about my dashing bravery and charm.
That and then some. But I don't think we've had enough drinks.
In the harbor, as well as drinks being passed around. Cantargo is sort of a city of perpetual celebration, at least in the good times. These are some of the good times. This ship might be confusing in name to the people of Cantargo. The Bane of Ravenswood, as it was once named, captained by none other than Tracius Sargata. He's not anywhere. You can't find him, at least not in this dusky haze harbor side. But continue as you move about the city. Go ahead.
I feel like Vesperin would drop a bag of some of her winnings, at least the monetary part of her winnings, on wherever, like in front of wherever, like somewhere where Crassius would notice it, with just a note of, because we will inevitably drink this much.
Excellent. He isn't hard to find, and you know the ship well. You took it all the way to Tianjia, in what ended up being something like a 6-month voyage. You even visited Absalom, Almus. He never wanted to meet Rune ever again. And it's believed that he hasn't since the tragedy of Dreamgate those years ago. He lost his lover when his ship, the Scourge of Belial, crashed. He seems cheerful on this night. He's off his ship as it's being loaded in preparation for plans that have been made. Some schemes. I don't know, Vesperin, if he spoke to you about other plans, about maybe visiting Cypress Point, but he's beside a Diedrich Mero of the Order of the Alpcross, not exactly according to plan. You know they're friends, however. They're discussing things. Diedrich locks eyes with Kai. They both speak about her from a distance. This harbor is busy, but this ship, Bane of Ravenwood, is by far the largest in the nearby vicinity, and it sort of frames this encounter. Old friends.
Can I do a perception check to pick up what they are saying?
Yes. It won't be a hardship. In flat distance, legendary perception at a 38 total.
Yeah,
Natural
legendary.
13. Gracias says to him, "This all goes according to your plan. You'll have some of the best talent this side of Avestan for what you're looking for. It's a plot, you said. Something of the sort. If I'd lunged for what I'd do it
It
myself.
is.
I'm quite bored these days."
I
Crassus
will
waves.
need your best.
One of them's your best, and one of them is Theobald's. He
Theobald.
waves at you two over. Adopted daughter. I believe you've met her.
Ah,
Well,
the Vesperin. It has been a long time. How is the adopted daughter of my friend Theobald?
Today is my lucky night, as Callistria has chosen to smile upon me. An old friend, a new town, a bag of money for my lovely friend who we are going to drink out of house and home. And she'd hand the pouch over to Gracias.
take a drink happily.
Congratulations on your winnings.
I felt my fingers tingling as I think you were talking about us, no?
Tingling or simply hearing in? Those ears of yours, as I recall, pick up quite a bit.
Those who do not pay attention do not live very long on the streets of this city. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. Can they still hear as well in the depths of the waters?
To say it is hearing is a bit disingenuous to what it actually is under the water, but yes.
I am well aware. Good to see you again, Kai.
Always.
Now,
Uh,
the painful part of the mission. Come aboard. Hear those loud, low footsteps of the plank, sort of wobbling as he steps up. It squeaks with his bounces. He's a bit portly now, but should you all follow, he'll turn to brief. Each of you know a different amount of this operation because he's spoken with you each individually, giving you each a different facet of the situation. I'll be brief, because I need only mention a name, and, well, I have a feeling you three will make this. So, I agree. Anything you need for Cyber Point, I'm there. An operation between here and there, for reasons I won't even mention out loud. I'm your Chelishman. He points out across the warm spring winds towards the sea. I know each of the three of you have a bitter hatred towards aboleths. Ship trade, as well as the Order of the Albatross, have a great interest in rooting out aboleths in our territory for good. Some such aboleths seem to be taking root in a nearby settlement, one I can't reach. Palisandre. Scans you 3 times. Vesperin, Edric Mero. What do you do?
So basically, I feel like Vesperin was like, if anything, walking up the bridge, she would have been protesting, like, do we really need to have a mission now? Like, I just beheaded a dragon, and I did some undead curse, I really want to just enjoy some time off, and blah, 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 like, but, like, so, like, as soon as he says that word, she goes from, like, leaning back to just perfectly straight, like, absolute focus.
What do you need?
At the mention of the aboleth, I will also sort of put a hand on the Vesperin's shoulder, almost comforting her. Just time for you to go home.
That is correct. There's been some suspicious activity in your homestead. It is our belief an aboleth is involved. I am, well, too loud to really get any information. However, the name of the Vesperin is well known throughout these waters. I am certain you will get the information we need.
A few questions. Which aspect of my name is known? As I wear many faces and often.
The name the Vesperin is well known. The chaos that the Vesperin wreaks is known. However you choose to manage this situation is up to you.
Do you know anything about the current political situation?
Little. The town has become quiet. Or at the very least, difficult to communicate with. I believe those who are in political power might be under someone else's sway. This is where I'm hoping you fit in.
Have the dead begun to rise yet?
Not to my knowledge, and I have not sensed as much, but there is an evil down there that is festering.
And there's still
I can
time.
feel the currents.
Sky? Have you been there recently?
Wasn't able to approach.
What did
There's
you see?
something down there, Talia, that it's dark, makes the waters thick. It's a different sort of magic.
The days ahead will be long, and there will be decisions made. You, however, have winnings and a victory this evening. Is that correct?
Yes.
Enjoy them, the Vesperin. We can talk more in the waters tomorrow.
With such a cheerful send-off, how could I not help but bask in the joyous glow that you radiate, Dietrich?
My cheerfulness left ages ago. I trust on Kai and you to cover down for me.
She'd look over at Crassius and be like,
So we're going to need double what we originally thought.
referring to the booth.
He looks out back towards the harbor. Seaside restaurants lining the old harbor, old salt worker mines, some brick shipment factories converted as Cantargo leaned into this trend of luxury. We can head to Vire. We'd likely be there by morning. City of masks and vices. It brings us towards our goal.
You ready for another adventure?
I suppose I have to be, no?
Well, that's the Talia I remember. Always ready for something.
she would look kind of sad at that and look back at Kai and say,
Natalia that you remembered. They buried her in Nasazasi. I am married now.
There and then.
We'll fade from there. In the engine room, Waldorff, what are you doing? Breaking or fixing?
Criticizing everything.
Okay. And taking no action.
Tweaking a bolt here, kind of. It's one of those when you can tell something isn't put together quite as well as it could be. Like, oh, that's loose, looking at things with that fresh eye. The guy that's been down in the engine room for the last however long is kind of used to looking at this stuff. So he's used to looking past the same problems over and over and over again. Waldorff is coming in like he's ready to clean house. He's gotten a little cocky over the last few months, being the few weeks being the guild master of the Anvilers Guild, and he kind of starts. It's like having a new lieutenant coming into the platoon.
Behind you is a construct with a mock anvil on her head.
Oh, look at you! You are beautiful.
Clear Larry. Ahem.
Waldorff is like examining it, like almost a little disrespectfully, just like agog at how intricate it is and how well put together it is. Like, what are oh my goodness, look at you. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Waldorff Skysteel. Pleased to meet you. And offer a hand to it.
The clawed hand, a shake. Inspecting what you've inspected, trying to understand your judgment before Sailix and Orboon arrive at your request by complaints and shouting. Sailix, what do you do when you move in here?
Coming out of the place says like, can you just not break everything you touch?
Me? Are you talking break? Break? This thing's about to fall apart as it is. You're gonna take this boat into the maelstrom and you don't want me to take a look at everything? You've lost your mind.
It held together for long enough to get them to hear from Cowling, so...
Well, would you like to make it back, is the question. Yeah, it'll get you there, but to turn around and make it all the way back after the maelstrom? Please. This thing will come apart at the bolts if you don't let me take a wrench to it.
Wrench away.
Do you know who you're talking to? Please.
Oh, I don't know how there's going to be enough room in this ship with all the ego that we're trying to pack onto it. Look, you or the wizard might have to stay in the cargo hold with all the extras you're bringing along.
Oh, trust me, there's enough for me to do down here that there is no reason for me to poke my head above decks for quite some time. You won't see hide nor hair of me for days.
Oh, good.
I've got my work cut out for me, that's for sure.
We're leaving either at sundown or when sunrise. Have a room can get that.
Well, that's fine. We can get on our way, but I mean, there's more than enough work around here. No offense, my fine metal friend, but there's more than enough work to keep me busy for quite some time down here. Not just fixing what's been broken, but I mean, on the way down, I've seen at least 6 different ways that we can make this place a bit more efficient. You know, we've got this barn over here that's blowing off heat like you wouldn't believe. If we can trap all of that and get it going in the right direction, we'll increase our efficiency by at least 20-fold.
Sure.
Where is Ravenswood? And then he would say,
I don't know. Do I look like his keeper? Wait. Don't you open your mouth, dwarf.
I mean, he is your wizard, isn't he? Shouldn't you be responsible for him?
The wizard is working on trying to figure out the problem of shifting an entire airship to the maelstrom. Tapping into the group knowledge of the elven wizards to figure it out.
Curious. Suddenly, LN moves out toward the deck. Stand just.
Where are you going? I was going to have you show me around. That's fine.
Don't touch anything.
It's too late.
I'm gonna
Waldorff
go-
is already like underneath something. All you see is like the hindquarters of a dwarf, and like you hear like wrenches moving and like a hiss of steam. Ah! Oh, wasn't expecting that. Hang on. No, this is fine.
As Sailix is starting to walk like back to like the upper deck, and he's like, "We're all gonna die."
And
Oh, boy.
as he comes up, he's just in time to see Pekka's hindquarters disappearing over the railing again, going down the chain. And some moments later, there is a distant thud, followed by, in hobgoblin, Selkat's whip. Every time.
Sailix just kind of pokes his head over and like, we should really get some stairs. Or a left.
I mean, you could just land.
Anyway, spinning on his heel, he looks to where the wizard is.
Rune is sort of walking about the deck of the ship with some papers in his hand, trying to work out a problem. He's going to very specific points on the ship.
Like he not intercepting his path that he's like walking to. Sailor just kind of like stands to the side, like, so take it you haven't figured out that portal yet, huh?
Oh, well, it's no. I think we're actually going to have to take a trip to Cyprus.
So what?
Well, the Dreamgate there was a part of the deluge that happened, and I think the all right. Well, so the transdimensional nature of the arcane energies that surround both the gate and the pathway to the maelstrom might actually intersect at a nexus point within the waters near Cyprus. So my thought is, if we could barrel over there and adjust the trajectory of the ship just right, we might be able to turn the water into a portal, leveraging the metaphysical connection to the gateway, and therefore transposition ourselves over to the maelstrom on the ship. Either that, or we'll break up into constituent pieces and be shunted across the various planes of existence.
A calculated risk, Ellen would say.
Huh? I mean, if we want to get to the maelstrom, yeah.
Sailix is kind of looking back and forth between the two. I agree.
You didn't catch a lick of it, did you?
Not a bit.
All right, here's the easy version. We're going to fly head first with the boat into the waters around Cyprus. That may or may not transport us to the maelstrom. If it does, we win. If it doesn't, then we get to individually see what the other planes of existence are like, because we'll either be dead or across them.
Let's do it.
Like one
I
at a
figured that'd be
time
their
or
answer.
all at once?
Sort of like, so it's like throwing water at a fence, where we are the water, and the fence is going to sort of separate us out across the various realms of existence in the multiverse.
Like throwing a Slurpee out of the window of a moving car.
What's the Slurpee?
What's a car?
And
Where are the priorities of the two lie?
yeah, with that, with everyone, even the wizard, not to be confused with the situation, confused with this situation, will fade. The idea is you set sail in the morning towards not Kintargo, but Cypress Point. Now, people have left Kintargo. Party boat has set sail to Vyre. Kai, the Vesperin, and Diedrich Marrow, I believe, were among the passengers, including Crassius Sargata, and then Standard before you. Is there anything in particular you would wish to do at Vyre before setting sail for Aslan?
Everything.
There's a lot to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, so first of all, to make Kai more comfortable, she changed. That said, her,
Thank
you
you.
know, her usual rogue outfit isn't, like, that much more modest. And yeah, again, Kai would notice that, she has, basically, like, the Pharasma sigil here, and then at her throat are the, 3 Callistrian daggers into, like, a harness thing. And on her arms, she has, like, braided cords that kind of look like butterfly wings.
Right.
I would point them out. What's all this then?
How many drinks have we had at this point?
Oh, were we supposed to count those?
Okay, so not enough. Short answer. I am. I am an avatar for a goddess, eh? I don't really know what I am anymore. But, you know, I have accepted that figuring out is not necessarily something I need to do right now.
I'm glad that we are going on this adventure together because there's definitely a lot we need to catch up on. When last I left you, you were this small little girl, and now look at you.
About less than a week ago, I was trying off a crown that controls the undead off of Elder Dragon's fucking head, and I ended a 600-year curse. You know, it's, some people do gardening, some people go fly kites. This is what we do. How about you? How have the years been?
I can't say I've been doing anything quite as interesting as that, but it's actually I don't remember much from the past couple of years.
Did you hit your head or something?
Or something. Neither here nor there. But I just want to hear of your adventures. A dragon, you say?
So, as they walk along, you know, and again, I imagine, getting more booze and snacks and other things, whatever the last story is, will basically end with,
So I looked him in the eye and I told him that that feeling he was noticing of his trousers shrinking was his testicles in my handbag. So if he wanted to have an adult conversation, he should stop being a fucking child. And then he did what I wanted.
With that, over Whatever you consider enough time for a restful stay in the city of Byre, you haven't been gone long, so you're not tired quite yet. Crassus is ready to sail further to Aslan. Its ruins. It's where Talisantri is. You see someone, though, waiting, standing by the ship in the harbor of Byre. A woman the Vesperin might recognize. Standing, quite literally right in front of the ship, the words reading the Bane of Ravenswood. Noblewoman of great import, once upon a time in Byre. She seems to know Ramses. Arguing with him about something. As you go right.
Yeah, what are they arguing about?
She stops too soon, too far away in the middle of a crowd. You could attempt to make it out, but it seemed to just be petty bickering at this point. The last thing you do make out, well, if you see this rune Ravenwood, let him speak to me.
Vesperin would sort of, give a cautionary glance to Kai and just kind of put on that happy-go-lucky face, and walk over there. My lady, I did not expect you to see you here this evening.
Seldom
Is there
ever
something you
expect to
need?
see myself. I don't expect myself to be here. Strange circumstance. You'll have to excuse me. And she'll leave. Not making it a secret that she's headed back to the Noble District. This was something of a surprise errand for her. But Gracias seems ready to leave if you're ready to go.
Well, she was quite fancy.
She was a former lover of someone I used to know. Did not entirely understand how that worked, but, love is love.
So this. Shall we head out then?
There is someone Ian, we aren't in Cantargo at all anymore, right?
No, yeah, you're in the city of Byron, north of Cargo.
Okay.
Peter Farrow has set out ahead, you'll learn soon.
Okay.
Scope out Aslan. Before the ship has arrived. You can swim as fast as the ship can sail, if not faster.
Okay. I suppose now is as good a time as any. She kind of looks somewhat awkward, she sort of looks longingly at some of the brothels before realizing who she's with, and immediately returns straight into focus, nope.
That you will leave fire behind. Is that correct? You do sail off, and it will take a few days to reach the ruins of Aslan, Calisantri, eventually. Before we get there, though, an airship hovers. It's been making the journey over land, across Abystan, beyond Isgur, around Cheliax, until it reaches Cypress Point north of Puntargo. You're stocked up, prepared, but you're sort of at the end of reason. You have to take a gamble here with what's to come. This ship is pointed directly at the cove that is holding Dream Gate underneath Cypress Point, the village north of Puntargo. The ship sort of stops and everyone just stares. It wasn't real what you're trying to do until now. Staring at the ship and the cove, it's quite daunting. Sailix, actually, Rune, do you have anything you want to say to these people?
Well, Rune will first look at the mages that have come along. Now make sure you're standing next to the sigils that you've been assigned. As we are diving, feed your magic into those sigils. It is critical. If you don't, we will crash under the water and die. He'll then look at everyone else. All right, so a lot of you have decided to come to the Maelstrom. I wish you all the best of luck. I want to thank you. Yeah, that's really all I got. I'm tapped. Sailix, your turn. Make the speech.
Alright. Bunch of ugly motherfuckers. Wizard. I'll keep it short. The Unforgotten. We've moved the earth. Now we go to the Maelstrom. And we wreak havoc on the heavens.
The ship begins to move. Magical humming out as the incantations begin swirling and spinning. Waldorff, do you have anything you wish to do in this moment?
No, I think I've done everything that I was intending to. I've tightened every bolt and offended everyone that I was going to offend. He's just fully armored and following orders now. I'm just trying to keep these two from killing each other and themselves.
Ship slowly begins to pick up momentum. Hopefully it's enough. Hopefully it's in time. Runes form in the air.
Rune takes his spot at the bed at the center of the deck, placing his staff as a connecting point on one of the arcane symbols at his feet. He closes his eyes and begins to loudly incanting, drawing on all of the magical knowledge that he's managed to learn, pulling from the chaos and bringing it into order. Around him, reality begins to ripple and bend a bit, the mass sort of distending as the arcane energies begin to sort of pierce through the veil of the planes, crackling along his arms, fixating on the crystal at the top of his staff. Sailix has seen this part before, but his body seems to split down the middle. One half remaining completely intact, the other scarred and frozen and charred all at once. As the energy begins to pulse into the crystal at the top of his staff, it arcs down, hitting into the deck, racing along the intricate lines that have been drawn over the last few days. As each of the mages begin to incant on their own, empowering their individual sigils. Rune and his staff acting as a center point for the planar and transportation energies required for this spell. A massive phase shift begins to occur across the entire ship as it sort of glitching in and out of this space. At once, everyone can see versions of themselves. A human Sailix, an elven dwarf. The Vesperin can be seen on this boat. One constant, however, is Rune. In every image seen, he's standing in the same place, doing the exact same thing. And as the ship begins to barrel down, the wind can be felt ripping across the sides of the ship, almost like a dragon's roar, as the head of Vishumerix, mounted at the front of the ship, points to the water. As the ship draws closer, maybe 1,000 feet above, arcs of energy begin to spark, connecting both the ship and the water, creating these same runic, arcane symbols in the waves as the water bubbles and boils. Arcane energies hammer through. Divine energies, as Dorf can feel, coming through. Primal nature of the water roiling. And somewhere in the back of everyone's mind, a dark, deep, old, occult energy just simmers. The water begins to spin in a whirlpool, going into an infinite depth. The roar of the wind shifts into this sort of electrical, fiery energy. A rumbling can be heard in the ears. Time begins to slow as the ship finally reaches the water. As Vishumerix's head is the first to crest into the horizon of this portal. And very slowly, the ship begins to break apart, tearing and stretching itself. Bits and pieces getting torn away as it cracks and rolls through the plains, trying to aim for its target. Before long, everything stops. And in that very moment, everyone feels their bodies stretched between two planes. They can see the rolling and chaotic nature of the maelstrom before them. And somehow the peace and tranquil nature of the prime plane seems so distant. And in a flat second, the ship appears in the maelstrom, knocking everyone to their feet. Rune collapses, and that will be the end of my description of his spell.
Well, you're met with no peace, no pause, and no break. You are all individually unmade and miraculously reassembled as you crashing into the water, the cove. You're swallowed up, but you're met immediately with a predictable amount of chaos. Something like looking through a telescope. All around you, it seems like a cosmos. Except the distant bodies seem out of focus to you, like specks passing before your eye. You know they're infinitely far away, though. Above you and below you, spires. You can see ships or winged creatures moving in and out of ports all along them. Some of them disassemble before your very eyes. They're phagic, they eat one another. Two things you can make out from this place. A mass of figures flying in one direction, and another mass, more sporadically, coming to meet them. Massive beasts. Proteans. They're charging towards Valkyries. Women on flying horses. They lead a charge. Sound carries the maelstrom. Much to your dismay, it's horrifying. Most horrifying is that you're caught in the middle of it. These things are charging directly towards you. Quickly arriving, moving faster than the rest. Protean. One of an uncountable near infinity, it would seem. Forms out of existence. Small disparate parts fusing together. You would like to call them runes, they're more complex than that. Carries it on its forehead. That magic powers its creation. The sound, something like clicks, can be heard ringing out. You can hear these things teaching each other a language as they meet in this space to engage in some sort of war. But this one moves towards you. Maybe out of pity or curiosity. Maybe you're the next victim. Except no, as you're just arriving, this thing lands on the ship. Moving around the dragon to address anyone it possibly could. With clicks, language that can only be comprehended magically. And it takes a while. To the wizards that can comprehend language, it gives you one warning, and it's dire. You need to leave faster than you've ever left any place, or you will be gone forever. Claustrophobic in this infinite space, because you can feel the walls sort of caving in as these armies charge. They're not limited to a single plane. They come in as a stack, like a sphere, collapsing in on itself. Kai and Vesperin, you make your way down below towards the water of Talisantri, unknowing that your friends are in the most chaotic waters of known existence. And that's where we're going to end off tonight, guys. So, welcome to the Maelstrom. It's been a long time coming for that one. I see that we've been raided at precisely the time that we got raided with a really good twist. Fear not, we will be back next week, 8:30 p.m. or more specifically, 3.5 hours ago from right now, wherever you are, in 1 week. We were picking up right on the heels of this. If you're interested in what you saw, absolutely subscribe or follow and check us out next week for part 2 of the Torn Seas module in our little adventure path side story here. But let's do our outros real quick, because I know I'm right on midnight here, starting with Daniel.
Hi guys, I'm Daniel. I played Sailix Lavendale tonight, who said goodbye to his little brother at the beginning, and then got stone cold drunk. Did a bunch of debaucherous things involving the mysterious chicken and shorter creature. And now he's in the maelstrom. The 3 biggest egos of the in Galarian have ended up in the Maelstrom, so this is only going to be great from here. But in 1 week, this episode will be uploaded on YouTube, so definitely come check us out then. And you can catch all the updates on all the creators and music and things we use in the show notes there as well.
All right, James.
Yes. I too want to know what the hell happened to the goddamn chicken. I am James. You can catch me on Twitter every once in a while at James R. Glass, and here every Sunday night on Penny for a Tale. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/pennyforatale and give us all of your hard-earned money because you love us and you want us to do well. You can also, if you want to take a look at Weave the Tale, our sister channel, you can check out Ian and I doing Honey Heist a couple of days ago. That was an absolute blast. Please, please, please check us out. And that was absolutely so much fun. I cannot wait to see what happens next. I think Waldorff is heading for that engine room. Give her all she's got, Captain. She's coming apart at the seams. I will be Scotty. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Jen. I played the Vesper in this evening, who sort of went from, leading a funeral to wanting to engage in debauchery and, petty revenge against her ex-girlfriend who faked her death. But sort of ended up on a new epic quest. So, yay, that's exciting. And reconnecting with childhood friend, yay. You can find me on the internet at Savage Sparrow. I will probably be streaming coloring the cover of the new Flipside book on Monday on my channel. And savagesparrow.com is my website for amazing nerdy t-shirts, apparel, and accessories. Also, those of us on the Penny crew are working on bringing L'Ingrangino, the Italian RPG, stateside as Necropunk. The Kickstarter is coming in May. All of us are contributing in some way. So, definitely check it out. Mitchell and the Penny for a Tale Twitter account has been posting art updates and behind the scenes stuff, and it's really cool, really amazing stuff.
Indeed. And Sam?
Yeah, hello, I am Sam. I did not play Aghi with a magical girl makeover. I played Kai tonight, that you may recognize from the Last Stand one shot that we did with Ian. For our upcoming shows, we do have a Song of Fire and Ice Brotherhood of Shadows on Wednesday, which is nearing its end. It has been such an exciting and amazing show. Other than that, I do believe Tuesday we have a Call of Cthulhu 3-shot starting up. More information on that to be announced. But other than that, most of our work is being done on Weave right now, so make sure you check out The Great American Witch on Monday at 5 p.m. It has been amazing so far, and they are reaching a very interesting point. So go ahead and check out Weave the Tale and see what's going on with Penny for a Tale, because we do have some very exciting stuff coming in the future.
Mr. Smith.
You are muted, sir.
I'm muted. I am Mr. Smith. I played Rude Ravenswood, the crazy wizard who transports airships to places it shouldn't be. You can find me at Mr_Smith on Twitter, and I am MrSmith.com. As for the Penny Network, you can catch us here at Penny for a Tale, particularly if you like and subscribe. Please feel free. Enjoy our works and our content. And then, as James noted, we have our sister channel, Weave the Tale. Feel free to check that out when you get a chance as well. Thank you all for watching this evening.
last but not least, our wonderful guest, Staffan.
Hi folks, I'm Staffan, RQ Staffan on the various handles. It's been an absolute joy and delight to have reprised Pekka Kylemakki tonight, the Hobgoblin War Priest, emissary of the Shaoling Empire, who is capable of dropping his entire mission at a hat to instead go and disrupt local funeral services. When I'm not hanging around here, you can find me on this very channel Tuesday nights, because Tuesday nights is Cthulhu night, and we're always looking for players to come along and lose their everyday sanity in the safe and warm, comfortable sea that is the ancient and dark home of Cthulhu. This Tuesday, we are going to have the finale of our 1860s investigators trying to make their way to Reno. It's yet to be seen whether they'll do so with their sanities intact, but come along and find out.
Can confirm, it's good time. Da.
All right. And then, yep, just lastly, once again, we are sponsored by Smiteworks for Fantasy Grounds Unity, as well as the only sheet for character planning and creation. Michael Gelfi and Rock Narman have been the music you're hearing throughout the night, and I don't think we had any tonight, but we frequently use maps by Che and Piku on Patreon, as well as Seafoot Games on Patreon, but that's all I have tonight. Follow us. We will be back with Pathfinder Age of Ashes on Sunday. Thank you so much. Good night.